Most people with dangerously high cholesterol feel completely normal until it's too late. There's no sharp pain, no obvious warning, nothing that forces you to stop and think something is wrong. And that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. Because when something is silent, it becomes easy to ignore, easy to delay, and easy to underestimate. Your body may already be warning you, but the signs are subtle, quiet, and incredibly easy to misinterpret as something harmless. A little fatigue at the end of the day, a strange discomfort in your chest, a slight change in your breathing, something you brush off as stress, aging, or just being tired. These are the moments most people overlook. But beneath the surface, something very different may be happening. Your arteries could be slowly narrowing. Your blood flow could be quietly restricted. And your risk could be steadily rising without you even realizing it. The truth is, your body doesn't suddenly fail. It doesn't go from perfectly healthy to life-threatening overnight. Instead, it sends signals, small, almost invisible signals, long before serious damage occurs. The problem is not that your body is silent. The problem is that most people don't know how to listen. Today, you're going to learn how to recognize those signals. Not the obvious ones, but the hidden ones. The subtle changes your body uses to warn you before a heart attack, before a stroke, before something irreversible happens. And once you understand them, you'll never look at these signs the same way again. Understanding cholesterol the right way. Before we talk about the warning signs, it's important to understand what cholesterol really is, because many people misunderstand it completely. Cholesterol is not something your body creates by mistake. It is not a toxin. It is not inherently dangerous. In fact, your body needs cholesterol to survive. It plays a vital role in building cell membranes, producing hormones like testosterone and estrogen, and even supporting brain function. So the problem is not cholesterol itself. The problem begins when the balance is disrupted. There are two main types you need to understand. LDL, often referred to as bad cholesterol, has a tendency to deposit itself along the walls of your arteries. Over time, these deposits begin to accumulate, forming layers that slowly narrow the space inside your blood vessels. On the other hand, HDL, known as good cholesterol, acts almost like a cleanup system. It helps remove excess cholesterol from your bloodstream and transports it back to the liver, where it can be processed and eliminated. So when LDL levels are high and HDL levels are low, the balance shifts in the wrong direction. And that's when problems begin. Because when too much LDL accumulates, it doesn't just float harmlessly in your blood. It sticks. It builds. It slowly transforms your arteries from flexible, open pathways into narrow, restricted channels. And this process doesn't happen overnight. It develops slowly, silently, and often without any clear symptoms in the early stages. What happens inside your arteries? To truly understand the danger, imagine your blood vessels like a system of clean, flexible pipes. At the beginning, everything flows smoothly. Blood moves easily, delivering oxygen and nutrients to every part of your body without resistance. Now imagine that, over time, small layers of fat begin to stick to the inner walls of those pipes. At first, the change is so small you wouldn't notice it. Then gradually, those layers become thicker. The space inside the pipes becomes narrower. The flow becomes less efficient. And the walls themselves become less flexible, more rigid, more prone to damage. This process is known as atherosclerosis. But what makes it truly dangerous is not just the buildup, it's how quietly it progresses. You don't feel your arteries narrowing. You don't feel plaque forming. There's no alarm system in your body that tells you, your blood vessels are now 40% blocked. Instead, everything feels normal, until it's not. Until one day, a plaque becomes unstable. until it ruptures. Until a clot forms suddenly and blocks blood flow completely. And that's when it turns into a heart attack or a stroke, often without warning. Chest pain you should never ignore. One of the earliest warning signs that something is wrong is chest pain or pressure. This happens when your heart muscle is not receiving enough oxygen-rich blood. But this pain doesn't always feel dramatic or intense. In fact, it's often described in ways that make it easy to dismiss. Some people feel a tightness, as if something is pressing on their chest. Others describe it as a squeezing sensation. And some feel a burning discomfort that can easily be mistaken for acidity or indigestion. And this is where the danger lies. Because many people experience this discomfort, rest for a while, and feel better. They assume it was nothing serious. But what they don't realize is that the relief they feel is temporary. It simply means the demand on the heart has decreased. The underlying problem is still there. You may notice this sensation during physical activity, emotional stress, or even simple tasks like climbing stairs. These are moments when your heart needs more oxygen. But if your arteries are narrowed, they cannot deliver what your heart needs. And your body responds with discomfort. This is not just a symptom. It is a warning. Leg pain while walking. Another often overlooked sign appears in your legs. You may feel a cramping, aching, or heavy sensation in your calves or thighs while walking. At first, it may seem like muscle fatigue. But here's the key detail: when you stop walking and rest, the pain fades away. This pattern is not random. It is a classic sign of reduced blood flow, known as peripheral artery disease. When your muscles are active, they need more oxygen. But if the arteries supplying your legs are narrowed, they cannot keep up with the demand. So your body sends a signal in the form of pain. And when you stop, the demand drops, and the pain disappears. It may seem harmless. But it is not. It is your circulation telling you that something is wrong. Visible signs on the face and eyes. Sometimes, your body reveals what's happening internally through visible changes. Yellowish deposits around the eyes are one such sign. They are soft, painless, and often ignored. But these deposits are made of cholesterol. They are one of the few visible clues that your lipid levels may be out of balance. Another sign is a gray or white ring forming around the edge of the eye. In older adults, this may be normal. But in younger individuals, it can be an early warning of elevated cholesterol levels. These signs don't cause pain. They don't interfere with daily life. And that's exactly why they are often overlooked. Neurological warning signs. Some of the most serious warning signs involve the brain. Sudden dizziness. Numbness on one side of the body. Difficulty speaking clearly. These symptoms can occur when blood flow to the brain is temporarily reduced. They may last only a few minutes and then disappear. But their temporary nature is what makes them dangerous. Because people assume that if the symptom goes away, the problem is gone. But in reality, these episodes can be early warnings of a stroke. And they should never be ignored. Shortness of breath and fatigue. Another subtle signal is a gradual decline in energy. You may find yourself getting tired more easily. Breathing may feel slightly heavier during activities that once felt easy. This happens because your heart is working harder to push blood through narrowed arteries. And over time, less oxygen reaches your muscles and organs. The result is fatigue. Not sudden exhaustion, but a slow, noticeable change. Erectile dysfunction, an early vascular signal. One of the most overlooked early warning signs is erectile dysfunction. Because the blood vessels involved are small and sensitive, they are often affected earlier than larger arteries. A slight reduction in blood flow can have a noticeable impact. And in many cases, This appears years before more serious cardiovascular symptoms, when it becomes life-threatening. And then, without warning, everything can change. A plaque inside the artery becomes unstable. It ruptures. A clot forms. And suddenly, blood flow is blocked. If this happens in the heart, it causes a heart attack. If it happens in the brain, it causes a stroke. And this can occur within minutes. Root cause explained. At the core of all this is a slow, ongoing process. LDL cholesterol builds up inside your arteries. Inflammation makes these deposits unstable. And lifestyle factors accelerate the damage. Poor diet, lack of movement, chronic stress, smoking. Together, they create the perfect environment for long-term vascular damage. How to confirm? The only way to truly understand your risk is through testing. A lipid profile provides a clear picture of your cholesterol levels. It measures total cholesterol, LDL, HDL, and triglycerides. And this is important, you cannot guess this. You must test. The good news is that this condition is manageable. Small, consistent changes can create powerful results. Improving your diet, increasing physical activity, prioritizing sleep, and managing stress can all help restore balance. And when necessary, medical support can provide additional protection. As we come to the end, remember this. Your body rarely shouts, it whispers. The earlier you listen, the more you can protect your future. Take a moment to check your health before symptoms appear. Share this with someone who needs it. And if you value clear, trusted guidance like this, consider subscribing.